Hello, welcome. I'm Jade. I am also the co-host of Draconathon, which is me and my friend Soleil's dragon-themed readathon. This is our second year doing a spring Draconathon, and specifically our second time doing a Draconathon bingo board. I should say boards though. This is definitely in the plural, and I'm gonna get into that soon, but if you see me looking at my notes, it's because Soleil made me a really handy list to keep me on track so that I get all of the information to you. In case you are completely new to Draconathon, this is a dragon-based readathon where we read, watch, and breathe dragons all month long. Specifically, this month we are breathing dragons into your spring. Everything will be dragon-related or draconic creature. We don't stay Western focused, we are across the map. I'm going to be looking at my notes and getting you all of the information, but the first thing I see here is that yes, it's all April. So from April 1st to the last day of April, we're reading, watching, and breathing dragons. All of the prompts that we will talk about today should have dragons applied to them. Of course, we are not going to micromanage you. You can do as you want, do as you will, but this is in the spirit and effort of getting us to read more dragon books and celebrating dragons. You should be applying dragons to all parts of your life, but specifically this readathon and all of the bingo prompts. Dragons. Let's move on. Next, as I said, yes, there are bingo boards. You will have the option of picking your bingo board based off of your sun and moon sign combination. An example, I am an Aquarius, which means I'm an air sign, and my moon is Virgo. Therefore, I have a earth moon. If you don't know, Google it, but I will also have a lot of links down below to help you through this. Don't feel overwhelmed, and also if you don't want to do that, you can just pick whichever board you most strongly affiliate with, the one that's calling to you, the prettiest one, the one with the best alignment of prompts. It's fine. But we also have a blackout board that has all of the prompts. I'll get into the blackout board later, but just so you know, there's lots of options. Essentially, based off of your astrology sign's element, you will pick one of 16 bingo boards. These bingo boards have been specialized for you. So me and Soleil put our brains together and we have a couple special prompts specific to your sun and moon sign. There are 16 different variations of this board. There's ones that everyone shares, and then there's a couple sprinkled in that are just for you. I'll go ahead and use myself as an example. So here is my bingo board. It is the air sun earth moon board. So one of my first prompts and one of my first squares is an air cover. That includes winds, storms, clouds, swirls of air on the cover. So I would be looking for a dragon book. Remember, always apply dragons that fulfills this prompt. I could start anywhere on the board. As long as I'm getting a horizontal, vertical, or diagonal line of 5 prompts fulfilled, I'm set. But another one of the specific to me prompts, specifically because I have an earth moon, I have a cozy fantasy book. So anyone with an earth moon will have cozy fantasy as one of their prompt options. But if you have a fire moon, you'll have competitions or trials as one of your prompts. But really, whichever board you feel the most aligned with, really are not going to be policing this. It's just supposed to be fun. And again, the links will be down below if you are having trouble knowing what your moon sign is. Really just Googling your birthday will give you your sun sign. But for your moon, you want to go ahead and plug in your date and time that you were born because, you know, the moon cycles differently than the sun. And so it might give you a 50-50. If you don't know the time, follow the link and it'll break it down for you. If you have any questions about any of this, message me. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Discord. You can comment down below. It's okay, I'll help you through. Our Discord is incredibly friendly and helpful, but also our moderator, Rachel, is incredibly knowledgeable. Either way, you'll get helped out. As I said before, in order to complete the regular bingo board, you just need to get 5 prompts finished. You can go ahead and complete your board if you want. You can get a double bingo. Whatever you would like to do with your board is up to you. We're just trying to get at least 5 in order to get a bingo. But of course, double or triple or quadruple bingo or a blackout on your own board is fantastic. But let's move on to the blackout board. If you really wanted to go for it, this is the blackout board and it is all of the prompts. Doubling up is of course okay with a dragon book. I will go over some examples later, but if you have a book that fulfills several of the prompts, go ahead and stick it on for different bingo spots. It's completely up to you. You can also just do a horizontal, diagonal, or vertical with the blackout board, but if you really want a chance to like do as many as you can, the blackout board is the one I would recommend because it literally has every single one of the prompts. Every single board does have a free space except for the blackout board, so look out for that one. This is a hardcore bingo board. But What do you do if you finished your bingo board? Well, first off, you should give yourself a pat on the back, maybe buy yourself a coffee. Personal rewards aside, we would love to reward you. So what me and Soleil are doing is we are going to also be doing a raffle. We have been working with Bashful Sketches since the beginning of Draconathon's conception, and we have merch that we love to give out during Draconathon. Now, of course, we highly encourage you to support small and local artists and go ahead and take a look at the merch store beforehand. Buy some Draconathon merch. It's absolutely wonderful. We have two different versions of Kaida, which is the name of our dragon, the original Kaida and the spring Kaida edition. For the raffle, we want to give a piece of merchandise to one lucky winner. The deadline to turn in your bingo board for the raffle will be May 4th. So just keep in your mind, May the 4th be with you. I will be personally watching Star Wars on that day, but we will be taking in all of the bingo boards until May 4th. Of course, the actual Readathon ends at the end of April, but we want to give people time to like collect themselves. So you have until May 4th to turn in your bingo board. If you turn in your bingo board, you will be entered into the raffle, and by mid-May, we will be announcing a winner. That's just because there's some traveling going on and some work scheduling things that make it so we won't have immediate time to go ahead and announce it, and we want to make it nice, but you will get to choose a piece of Draconathon merchandise at a $40 USD cap. So you can choose one piece of Draconathon merchandise. It's all really awesome. I myself have the OG Kaida on a pillow, a tote bag, which is rumpled because I use it all the time and I'm complimented all the time. And I also have a plaque. I'm really thinking about getting one of the sweatshirts though. I've been eyeing it for so long and I haven't clicked the button. This might be the year that I click the button. But go ahead and definitely give the merch a look. Pick some things for your cart because you never know, if you turn your bingo board in, you might win a piece of it after our winner is announced mid-May. Again, I am going to go over the prompts as well as giving some examples of some books that can fulfill them. Before I go over the prompts, I do want to bring attention to other readathons that are going on this month. Soleil and I specifically went around looking for different readathons that were going on in April, and we found several we wanted to highlight and also celebrate. It's awesome when you can double up the prompts. For these prompts, there's inspiration and ways to cross over with different readathons happening in April. The first readathon that we have some crossover with is the Readathon Old School April. You can find information down below for Slime and Slashers, who is hosting, and this is going to be reading books in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, which is why we have a prompt that covers that. Then there's also Indie April happening, and this is hosted by Angel Can't Read. This, of course, is to be reading indie books and indie authors. Angel Can't Read obviously will have all of the information for that readathon, but we do have indie specific prompts because we also want to highlight and celebrate indie authors, and there are so many indie dragon books out there. I've been keeping my eye out since we realized we were going to be doing this prompt, and if you go to the Draconathon Instagram, you will find an entire section dedicated to highlighted books that I've found and have just added to the stories tab so that you can look at all of the different indie dragon books that are around. They're everywhere. There's lots of indie dragon books, and that's really exciting, and the indie readathon seems really awesome, and there's a lot more of resources there, so again, link down below. Then one that I know is incredibly popular, very beloved, honestly a booktube staple, is the Buzzwordathon. Kayla at Books and Lala is doing the Buzzwordathon again. This time this is covered both in the title and the cover. I won't be able to describe all that goes into Buzzwordathon, but Kayla's video is linked down below, and for this one we have animals because that is the buzzword that Kayla is looking for in April. We also have animals applied to our prompts, so you can go ahead and try and double up there as well. Dragons, of course, do count as animals in our readathon, so 100% if there's a dragon on your cover, there's an animal on your cover. I'm not gonna say any more, won't be taking any guff for that one. And then finally, right before filming this video, Book Roast went ahead and dropped a magical readathon announcement that is dragon themed, so obviously there's gonna be some crossover there with dragons and Draconathon. Go ahead and check her out as well. This is a really in-depth and highly curated readathon. I have participated in magical readathon before, and it really is such an immersive and fun experience. I'm stoked, just simply because like there's so many dragon type things to do in the month of April. Could not have come up with more perfect timing. So I've talked enough about the readathon. I've definitely got timestamps linked down below, so if I was scattered in any way, which I probably was, that's covered. Let's go ahead and look at the list of prompts, and I will go ahead and explain them out a little bit more in case there's any confusion. I'm gonna go ahead and just go to the Blackout board, and stare at that, so won't be always looking at you, but I'm always thinking about you. First, we have Earth on the cover. That is for the Earth Sun prompt, and that is to read a book with Earth on the cover. This is the Hedge Witch of Fox Hall. It also has a lot of little plants and things like that. Earth is interpreted as Earth. You got a tree on your cover? Check. A whole bunch of little plants and foliage on your cover? Check. You got The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne with a whole bunch of mountains in the background? That's Earth. Said and done. Cozy fantasy. We are not policing what you consider cozy fantasy. However, I would say The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill, The Beast Player by Nohoku Uehashi, and again, The Hedge Witch of Fox Hall are all cozy fantasy books. And on top of that, they cover multiple prompts. An Earth cover with a cozy fantasy book. Pretty nice. This is also an Earth cover with a cozy fantasy book. We have a different one for that. Indie book rating is the next one. Indie book rating means that you are going to rate an indie book. I'm not going to dictate what star rating you give this indie book. That's not what we're here for. We are here to promote indie ratings though. One of the most helpful things you can do for an indie author is give them a rating. This is on Goodreads, on Storygraph, on Amazon, anywhere where you can rate a book, including Barnes & Noble, bookstores let you do ratings. Give them a rating. We're just asking for star ratings, but really anything that just puts it a little bit more out there can do a world of good for an indie author. I know I have seen huge spikes of readers after someone has rated my book. So I can say from experience, this is such a helpful thing to do for indie authors, and it's something that doesn't nearly get enough attention. A reminder, if you do give a lower rating to an indie author, this is not the time to tag them. It's completely okay to dislike a book. That rating and review are for readers so that they can make a decision on whether they want to read the book or not. That's not for authors, whether they be indie or like big published authors. No author needs to see the negative review you gave their book. It's not useful for them. They already published it. They really liked it. That's not the forum for it. So in case you didn't know that, don't tag an author in a negative review unless you have something really exciting and bubbling over to say. Authors don't need to know that you disliked their book. So I just figured I would take this moment to shout that out because I know a lot of people don't know that. And I, before having written a book, was less conscious of whether I would have tagged an author or not, though I know for certain I never have. But yeah, okay, that's it. Sorry, my camera's dead, so I am on my webcam. Next, film and TV shows. Once again, apply dragons. I'm talking Dragon Prince, Dragon Heart, anything dragon related that is a film or TV show, can be anime, whatever you do with your time, just make it draconic. So hopefully that's clear. Next is opposites attract. I believe this is the air moon prompt, and this is to read a book that has the opposites attract trope. This is going to be one of the ones where you're going to decide whether it applies or not while reading the book, or if someone else recommends you the book. If it's in the blurb, you'll have to do a little bit more digging for this one, but I think that making every single prompt incredibly easy kind of takes the whole fun out of the entire concept. So this one's a little bit tricky, but I am looking forward to seeing what people come up for with it. I would say there is an opposites attract relationship at the beginning of The Shadow of the Gods. One of the major characters, their relationship with their partner is so sweet and so wonderful, but it's definitely an opposites attract situation where they balance each other out, and I really enjoyed watching that dynamic, and it's felt throughout. Next is an air cover. This is reading a dragon book with wind, storm, or clouds on the cover. If it has like swirls of air, that's also totally fine. The point is like we're not looking for the dead space. Like if it just has a character on the cover believed to be breathing, that's not necessarily what I mean by this prompt, but again, this is up to you. The point of this prompt is something with wind, storm, or clouds on the cover. After that is animals. Once again, this is the Buzzwordathon inspiration prompt, and here is 6 Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim. This is a dragon book, and it has cranes on it, which would definitely count as an animal. However, again, dragons do count for this prompt. So after that is Fem Rage, or Feminine Rage. I think that's pretty self-explanatory, but I think an excellent example of a feminine rage dragon book is When Women Were Dragons by Kelly Barnhill. This book does have a slowness to it, but it's a slow building rage, and it really just has a very powerful message that I really enjoyed. It also has earth on the cover with a lot of little flowers, and yeah, this is a killer book. I loved this book. I know it's not for everyone, but I would live and die giving this as a recommendation, and definitely has feminine rage, and I think definitely applies to a lot of current political situations. Court politics. Any book dealing with court politics and dragons. I can't find it right now, but Seraphina was the one that I had in my head for this prompt. There's a lot of dragon books with a lot of court politics. Don't be afraid to explore explore on that one. Then we have beverages. This is a dragon related beverage and you can get real loose with this one. I know I have. This is just like make a dragon themed drink. You can make like a mango strawberry smoothie and like call it Sunset Dragon and you know, you're set. Ordering a drink at a restaurant that has a draconic or like fiery feel to it, a fireball totally works. Like really, world is your oyster. TBR Veteran. This is one of the oldest books on your TBR or the oldest book on your TBR. The dragon book you've been wanting to read but haven't read yet. That would be the perfect book for the TBR Veteran. Then we have Indie Pub. This is to read an indie published dragon book. If it's self-published or indie published or is hybrid published as well, that definitely counts. Nostalgia, 80s to 2000s releases. This is within the first decade of the 2000s and this is just to read an older dragon book, something by like say Anne McCaffrey or Patricia Reed who has Dealing with Dragons. Tamara Pierce also has Wild Magic that has a dragon featured prominently in the series and they're very short. Aragon would of course fall into this category as a 2002 release. Then we have the prompt Celestial. This is a sun, moon, or stars on the cover. Here is a book with a moon on the cover. The Girl Who Drank the Moon definitely would fulfill this prompt. Sun, moon, or stars. Next up is illustrated. This is to read a comic, manga, or graphic novel. I would also put webtoon in for this one as well. Then we have short and sweet. This is to read your shortest dragon book. There are lots of long dragon books. We recommend you find a short one. This can also be a collection of poetry, anything like that. Just your shortest media having dragons in it definitely applies. Then we have tidy up shelves. This is specifically just so you can tidy up your shelves because, you know, spring cleaning. I don't actually think I can make this one dragon related, except for you could add some dragon trinkets to it. Whether this be a decluttering, an unhaul, some way of you just tidying up and making your shelves a little fresher, and you don't have to even read a book for it. You just have to clean up your shelves. Do some light dusting and then check it off. Bookwyrm. This is both my bad pun and also the longest book on your TBR because, you know, a worm is really long. Anyway, yeah, you should just read the longest book on your TBR for that one. The longest dragon book you have, and that will fulfill that prompt. Then we have LGBTQIA+. This is, of course, to read a LGBTQIA+ dragon book. One that I recently read, I think a little last year, was Dragonfall by L.R. Lom, and this has a non-binary dragon as well as just like a queer relationship. Another book I am currently reading, Feathers of Dawn. This is another queer dragon book, and it's indie pub, so this covers several prompts. I would also say that its opposites attract because it's between a dragon and a dragon slayer, and I would not say that those two things are synonymous. Oh, and it's cozy. Oh my gosh. Check out this book. This covers several of the prompts, and that's the point of that one. Stories Abroad. This is a harkening back to our original Draconathon where we were reading stories from around the world, reading different types of dragon books, and for this one, it's just to read a book, a dragon book from outside of your country. This can be an own voices story from an author or a story inspired by a different country, but expand out. A great example of this one is actually from our first Draconathon, and that is The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. This is an African-inspired fantasy world, and it's absolutely fantastic. It's an epic. It has court politics. It's by a BIPOC author. There's lots of good going on here. It's an intense read, but it's really good. It's one of my all-time favorite books. That would definitely apply. The whole point is to read outside of your own country or culture, so just read abroad. Thrifted or gifted. Read a book that was either gifted to you or thrifted by you, or, you know, from a little library, borrowed. You get the idea. BIPOC author. This is to read a book by a BIPOC author. Diversify your reading. Yeah, that's really all there is to say here. Do some research. Look at different authors. Challenge yourselves. Look at your shelves. See the books on your TBR and see if any of those fit. If they don't, you should expand out. There's amazing authors out there. Do some research, have some fun. Buddy read. This is to buddy read a dragon book with someone. Find people in our Discord that you maybe want to buddy read with or group read. Soleil and I also have a Dragons and Draconathon Fable account, so we are actually going to be reading The Language of Dragons in this month, and that would definitely count as a buddy read. Language of Dragons, Soleil will have more information on what it all covers, but I do know that it covers the buddy read prompt because we're all reading it. It also covers creator recommendation because we are recommending it. We are recommending you join our Fable account. We are recommending you buddy read with us. We're recommending that you read The Language of Dragons. Next, fire on the cover. This is to read a book with fire on the cover. But here is an example on Rage of Dragons. You can see little embers all around. That's because the dragon's breathing fire on it. And yeah, that's That's the point of that prompt. Embers are of course also okay, so it doesn't have to be like a campfire. Competitions and trials. This is to read a book with competitions and trials. May I offer you Blaze Wrath games? Which was not necessarily beloved by a lot of our readers when we made this our group book a couple years ago for Draconathon, but it does have competitions and trials in it, and you know, there's that. Competitions and trials and dragons. After that, we have Out and About. This is to go to a coffee shop, a garden, go out and about. You can bring a dragon book. We would love that. Really, this prompt is just you going out and like enjoying nature, being outside, really just appreciating spring. It's a spring type prompt, but if you want to go and read in any of these locations, that's doubly fantastic. We just, you know, we don't require it. So then we have friends creator recommendation. Creator being anyone from Instagram, TikTok, like the book community, as long as it's a book that's been recommended, whether in mass or by an individual, that is what this prompt is about. So a book you didn't just find on your own in the bookstore, but one that was recommended either specifically to you by a friend or to the general public by a influencer or creator. And then finally, water on the cover. You wouldn't believe it. This is to read a book with water on the cover. An example of this is Earthsea by Ursula Le Guin. This would fulfill the nostalgia prompt as well as possibly cozy fantasy. You can fight me on that. I don't actually know what I'm talking about. It also has animals in the fact that it has dragons on the cover. It's got a little ocean. There's lots of different iterations of this, but Earthsea usually does have an ocean because of the sea part. There's also usually Earth on the cover due to, you know what, I'm getting tired. Editing Jade here, just wanted to bring up two prompts that of course I forgot. The first one being the craft and food prompt. This can be anything from crocheting a dragon to doing a coloring page, artistic expression, creativity, a puzzle, anything like that would count as a draconic craft. Draconic food, same vein as like the beverage thing. You can just make food related item or order something out. We've made fire flakes, so it can be something original or it can be something themed off of like a dragon fandom such as like Game of Thrones or something like that. The second one is the indie book post, and that is to post about an indie book online, Instagram, Reddit, Threads, any social media platform, including this one. If you are not as online as other people, that's completely okay. If you're just watching this over on YouTube and like you don't have other forms of social media, you can go ahead and leave me an indie recommendation down below, and that totally fulfills the prompt. Shout out an indie author, make a post for them for a book you'd like to read, have read before, want to talk about, compliment the cover, something like that. Just anything posting about an indie author. That is all of the prompts laid out for you, explained. Hopefully you skipped through where you needed to. We will have all of our social media links down below. We will have all the prompts down below, a link to all of the different bingo boards in a Google Drive, and any other information that's in this video will hopefully also be in the description box. If you can't find it or if you have any questions, you will not be bugging us, you will not be bothering us. Please don't hesitate to reach out and ask us either in the comment section, Instagram, Discord, wherever you can find us, reach us, go for it and ask us. We really want to just celebrate dragons with you guys, and we are stoked and excited. Like, I am elated. I've had so much fun making this. I cannot wait to put my bingo board together, kind of figure out my TBR. I might mood read a little bit. I ended up saving some indie books that I had this month so that I could apply them for this month coming up. So have fun with it. Read dragon books, celebrate all of the different communities that can be drawn together by dragons, and whether you do or not, I don't know how you made it this far into the video if you're not, but whether you do join us or not, I hope you are enjoying the sun or more stars wherever you are, and until next time, bye!